On this episode of the Business Real Estate Podcast with Lynn, Hoffmann, and Eric Johnson, we're joined by special guest Tina Doyle, who is a specialist when it comes to working with trailer park homes or mobile homes areas and the challenges that agents face when they're trying to deal with these types of properties. It can be extremely challenging, and for a lot of people, they don't know exactly how to handle it because it's done a lot differently than just your traditional resale home. So welcome, Tina, to our podcast.
Thank you very much for having me here today.
Yeah, so I know you do other homes and you've done farms, you've done the resale homes, et
Yes,
cetera, but
yes.
this is a unique type of property, and you've become a bit of a queen when it comes, at least I know with one specific one.
Yeah.
But it's become a bit of a specialty for you, hasn't it?
It has, absolutely. I got really dropped into it, if that's a lack of a better word, about 15 years ago. And I was helping an agent friend of mine from Guelph who said, Tina, I don't know what the heck these parks are about. And I'm always up for a challenge. So I said, hey, I'll try it. Why not? And so I went up to the park and said, oh my gosh, it has an indoor and outdoor pool, a gym. What the heck? There's never any pictures of these places, so what the heck's going on here? So as I meandered my way through and got to the listing and talked to the people, and we immediately hit it off and listed it, and I sold it within like 40 days. At the time, the days on market for that type of situation was probably close to 80 or 90, if not almost a year.
Wow.
But one thing I did see was the lack of professional photography. And that's the challenge, because agents think that, oh, it's a low-end type of sale. Why should I spend money? Well, I say the opposite.
Yeah.
I think you should definitely spend, and then you will get noticed. And when you get noticed, that's when things start to happen. So I said, no one's ever taken pictures of these pools. No one's ever taken aerial shots of the park. Let's do it. And so I met with my photographer, told him what I wanted to do. He says, Tina, what the hell is this place? But he has now done every single one of the places there, and I've sold almost every single one at Fernbrook, probably once, sometimes twice.
Wow.
There's maybe a handful that I haven't done. But,
So how many units are there in this?
180 more or less.
Okay.
But there are some that I haven't done, but I could probably count it on this finger, or this hand.
Okay.
This finger?
Yeah.
Which
I've
finger?
done one.
Which finger?
I haven't done
Which
one.
finger? I don't know which finger.
You don't
but-
have 180.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so what are they? Are they a mobile house or are they modular?
Yeah, I was
house?
just gonna say,
What did-
like,
I
let's
want to get a
define-
vision of what they look like.
Okay,
Do
so
they
the-
have wheels or no wheels?
Wow.
Or define the park, I guess what would you call it?
It's eclectic. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very eclectic. It's dirt roads.
Okay.
It's trailers that have morphed into have additions, so they've
Yeah.
morphed into homes, and a lot of them have the trailers still within the
Yes.
body, and then they've actually built around
Around it.
it, so it actually looks like a modular home on the outside.
Right.
When you go underneath, again, I have a home inspector who's probably done all of them for me there too. He says, well, I can see the wheels are still on here, the steel frames are still in good shape, so he
Okay.
knows what to look for now.
Okay.
But some of them were actually built as homes.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a mix
Yeah.
at Fernbrook. But at different parks, there's sometimes just park models. And that's what things are now going towards. I like these older ones. They have character. They have
Yeah.
a little bit of style. They have a little bit of, wow, why did you build this? Or what was this used for back in the day? And, so, and I just love the people there. I think that's what it is. More than
Yeah.
the building, it's the people.
Are
Yeah.
they fully winterized?
Absolutely
These are
fully
300
winterized.
Yeah, I know I'm asking
Yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
but I don't know a lot about them. Is this
Yeah.
also a place that if you had a tiny home, for example, on a trailer?
No, you cannot.
You cannot. Okay.
Okay?
No, but
Yes,
there are
so
some
what are the
places though.
requirements?
There
Yeah.
are some places like my parents lived in we'll call it adult lifestyle community because no children allowed,
Right.
and they looked like they were trailer homes that were converted, but they weren't. They were just these small modular homes.
Yeah.
They had on. So I mean, the whole concept here is that whether they're on wheels or not,
Right.
it's a different type of ownership.
It is.
Right? Because they don't own the land.
Right. They lease the land.
So
Exactly.
This
So
is
that-
the land lease.
It's a
It's-
land lease,
yeah.
and different parks have different rules, and different
Right.
parks have different things. Fernbrook does not have a conventional lease, so to speak, without getting into more detail. Talking to park management there, I know the requirements, because you have to go through a park approval.
Right.
So they want to see anybody over 50, you know, they want to see good credit. They want to see, it's basically an application to rent.
So almost like a cooperative building
It
in
is.
that regard.
It is. It
Okay.
is.
So
It
that you're
is.
being vetted the same as you would
Yes.
be going into
You
cooperative.
can't rent
Okay.
them. You
Nope.
can't rent them.
Nope.
So just like co-ops.
Yep.
So there's a lot of similarities.
Right.
And then a lot of agents just don't know how to write the deals up.
So,
That's
so,
what it comes
so
down
let's
to.
talk about how it's made up. So,
All right.
so basically, we have a place where you're living. We'll call it the house.
Yes.
Okay, that you purchase.
Yes.
And then the land is leased.
Yes.
And then you have common elements.
Yes.
Aspect to it.
Well,
So-
yes, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I
More or
mean,
less.
in terms of, you said the pool,
Yes.
we've got a gym and everything, those are the common elements, right? So it's a mixture of condo, well, it's almost like a condo, really.
Condo, co-op, yeah, it's a specialized form of that. And because of that, there's specialized clauses. There's things that you
Yes.
have to really educate the buyer on about these types of places or homes or whatever you want to call them, right? They are homes, because that's the way people live in them, that they call them
Yeah, the home.
their home. That they have to understand that there is sometimes a trailer. And I can see the differences, like I've been to enough of them, I know where there's the addition, oh, okay, this must have been the original trailer, because you can see where the kitchen is, you can see where the living room is, you can kind of see that park model idea, and then you'll see an addition.
Usually a sunroom, isn't it?
Sunroom, family room,
Yes.
eating kitchen, they've done something. And so each one is really unique, and there's no cookie cutter there,
Yeah.
right? So they're
That's
all
kinda cool.
different.
And so what forms are you using?
Land
Form
lease.
110,
Okay.
okay?
I just want for
That's the-
everybody
that's the
out there.
Form
land lease.
110,
Land
Yeah.
lease.
I have seen them on every single form, pottle, condo, agreement, no. okay?
Exactly.
Please, no.
Yeah.
Please, no.
That's why I bring this up,
Thank
because I
you.
want people to, I want the agents out there to understand.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I wanted to go through just the basics, definition, and what forms we're using. So, and so then for everything that, in terms of the common elements, the land lease, that's all dealt with via the clauses and schedules, et cetera?
Well, so much for the common elements. They plow in the wintertime. You
Yeah.
have to take care of your own property, so you have to mow your own lawn and keep it, up to standards, of course, right? And then you're allowed to use the pool area and all of that. That's part of your membership, if you want to call it, or
Yeah.
part of the fees that you pay every month. So it's a lot lease fees typically. A lot of places, there's property taxes included. And then, yeah, so that's all there. But they have to understand what's involved. And then even when the offer is accepted, a lot of these places do not accept financing.
Yes, I've heard
They
this.
do not
Yes.
accept financing, so
Cash deal.
I vet at least 5 calls a day, when I actually have now just a little note or something, not so much a script, but just there saying, okay, do you understand what this is? You're not just gonna buy a $175,000 property and go to the bank and say, okay, I'm gonna put 5% down. That does not happen.
Yeah, you're paying for its entirety.
You're in pay, and that's how then I structure my listing presentation to the seller. So it's not like we can ask $10,000 or $15,000 more because we can finance it over 30 years or amortize it over 30 years.
Yep.
We cannot do that. That's an extra 10 or 15,000 out of somebody's pocket.
Right.
So then it becomes in perspective. So
And do they pay like a common element fee
Yes.
per month? And
Yeah.
what is that just typically?
You keep
I mean,
mentioning
they're-
membership.
know.
Is
You
there
just say
a membership fee?
So
membership fee.
do they call it?
Different parks call it different things.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they could
okay.
call it a membership fee. Or they could call it a
lot
condo
lease
common
fee. No, it's just lot lease.
lot lease fee.
There's
And
no,
that would
it's not a
include the
condo,
pools
right?
and everything.
That would
yes.
include your pool,
Yes.
that would include.
That's your lot lease.
Right, so it's your lot lease, so that
Right.
is
Do
where
they cover the insurance on that?
oh,
in
they,
that-
they insure, oh yeah, they're all insured.
in that lot lease fee?
No,
You
have,
pay that yourself?
you pay that yourself,
Okay,
okay? So
Yep.
the house is yours, it's like a
just like a
freehold
regular house.
home
Yeah.
Yep.
on leased land.
Lease land.
So it'd be like buying a cottage in some parts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, that's what it is. And having use of the roads and having use of the facilities.
Yes.
I guess that's what it is. But a lot of them have, membership fees.
Yeah.
And that again is using the facilities and being a part of the parties. And it's such a great,
And are they typically mandatory, those fees?
what do you mean mandatory? Of
Like, meaning
course.
that people have to pay it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
I just
yeah.
want to, I
Oh,
want to make sure that's
absolutely.
clear to everybody, that's all.
Absolutely.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of these in Florida.
Yes.
Like, I've seen a lot of them in parts of Florida.
Yep.
There's one called the Maple Leaf, whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's-
Maple
I mean,
Leaf Village.
everybody has a golf cart, they all, get around, they have all these group
Yep.
things that they do.
Yep.
And they are various shapes and sizes of
Yes,
buildings, so it's
yes.
kind of like that idea.
It is.
But it's more unusual here.
It is unusual, and I have a very distinct car, as you know. So whenever I show up there, I usually just park in the main parking lot and I walk everywhere because I like to keep people's business private.
Yeah.
And as soon as they say, "What's Tina doing here? Where's she going? Who's selling?" And I just, oh, okay. But it also gives me an opportunity to walk the neighborhood,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I see, hey, Ruby, look at your gardens are looking fabulous this year.
Yeah.
And there is one woman that she's been there for 40 years. Honestly, she's got the best gardens I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
So I always, if I see her outside, I'll sit and talk to her or whoever. Everybody always waves. Everybody's in a golf cart. Everybody waves.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get away from the city crap
Yeah.
because sometimes you deal with a lot of people in this.
Yeah.
Ugh. When I go up there, it's like they're
Where
very
are
honest.
where are most of them found? Now, I before we came on air, we were talking about a couple. There's some in the West Flamborough area.
Yep. That's where I deal with.
Is that the ones you deal
Flamborough,
with?
yes.
Flamborough, okay,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
there's
yes.
quite a few there. Actually,
And they're
my
typically
property used to
outside,
back
just
up.
outside the cities,
Yes.
Yeah.
because obviously it requires a bit of land.
It does.
What are some of the challenges dealing with this type of property? Because I gotta assume other realtors who don't know what they're doing.
They do not.
But there's, but these properties themselves, like you said, if it's cash, oh, so not cash only, but no financing.
It is cash.
That's,
It's coming
Yeah.
up with your own means without a bank, without any collateral. You can't use these units as collateral for a loan, is what I tell
There you go.
yeah,
everybody.
that's another good point.
Right? You
That's another good
cannot use them
point.
as collateral.
yep,
So that means, so then, okay, I have to sell my house. Okay, great. Where do you live? And then I get listings that way, and they just want to retire. They don't want a mortgage anymore. They want that kind of carefree freestyle, and they want the pool, and they just want the resort lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Without going anywhere else except stay in
yeah.
the area.
So what are some of the other challenges?
Challenges?
Yeah.
There's lots of them. So where do I begin?
Wherever you like.
Hardest
go?
one, hardest challenge. biggest
Hardest challenge that I have is people understanding that these aren't typical homes. When you are purchasing, that's what I have to educate every buyer. You're only getting what you're paying for here. If you think you're getting a palace or you're getting a detached house on a piece of property that is perfect condition, you are looking at the wrong thing. You have to be open to the fact that there are electrical issues. There could be you needing shingles. You may need a secondary form of heating or cooling. There's a lot of things that you have to be prepared for.
Are they on city water or city sewers, or are they septic system?
Well, they have their own.
They have their
water,
own?
Yes, system.
Yep,
That costs a lot of money, and a lot of parks now are tying into this type of system, and then
Yeah.
they'll charge you water.
Yeah.
But the parks that I deal with, you typically include water and water testing, because it's kind of a well system, but it's
Yeah.
treated, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a city system within the park.
I
That
lived
makes
on a
sense?
farm for 30 years, so.
You know what I'm talking
I know what
about.
you're talking about.
A lot of them have grinders on the
Yeah.
properties.
Okay.
So that's really the septic part of it.
Okay.
What about making changes, so renovations, is
Go
that,
right ahead. But you can
I gotta
only,
assume there's restrictions.
okay, that was my next point.
Yeah.
So you cannot change what's already there. You can't add on unless it's sometimes a sunroom, and that's, of course, with approval.
Yeah,
You can't do that without any sort of approval. You cannot say, well, I can build a really great, she shed or a man cave or whatever. No, you cannot.
No, no.
Okay? You cannot. First of all, the city of Hamilton will say no. Secondly, it's just like building in the country.
Right.
You cannot build without infringing on the water or septic
That's right.
supply for that particular, so you have,
Right.
it's just too much. You can change what's there, but you can't, like, you can use the footprint. How's
Yeah.
that for the lack
Yeah.
of,
That's good.
and you're gonna have to go by the ownership and what their rules are.
absolutely.
Obviously, depending on the park, because there could be somebody listening here in a different province or whatever and going,
Yes.
hey, in our area, it's a little bit different, but
Yes,
you gotta abide by those rules.
yes,
And I think we were talking beforehand, before we started filming, that sometimes it's other agents who don't know what they're doing,
they do not.
right?
They do
That
not.
poses a challenge.
Ugh.
What's the biggest, like, for somebody out there that's thinking, hey, I'd love to get a crack at one of these? Obviously, like, where are the mistakes being made? Let's put it that way.
Just in the fact of, what are they buying? What are they getting?
They don't understand.
They don't understand that, number one. They don't understand that there's no financing, that this isn't a typical real estate transaction, right? They have to have the type of, I hate using the word personality, but just the way, I can tell now, doing 40 some odd, I don't know, deals at even this one park, I can tell right away if they're gonna be a good fit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like, I just had a situation this weekend where I had a property like in a park, and the agent who I thought who was very, very experienced in this type of situation, I guess what they wanted to do was basically transform what was there and then live in it for a while and then see what they can do to maybe rebuild a shed or redo everything. But it was hinging on the fact that they could renovate what's there without any issues. And I know, and this is how I vet to other buyers, you've got to understand, I don't know what's behind these walls. It's like peeling back an onion. Once you start doing something, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So you have to go with the assumption that you're going to need to do a lot of work, number one. If you don't have that understanding, then this is the wrong property for you.
Not for the faint of heart.
It is not for the faint of heart, okay? So usually I have couples or guys that are very handy or know a lot of people that can do things, or they've done, oh yeah, I've done that before, or I fixed my mom and dad's house. I know these older places, I know what's involved. And that's what I look for. And unfortunately, this buyer, I guess, had grandiose ideas and the deal went south. So, yeah.
How does it work out? How hard is it to get, so the couple that came in this one on the weekend, how hard is it to get them approved by the board of directors or the people that sit on the committee?
It's a
And how-
manager. It's a park manager.
So one person approves.
Usually one or two people.
Two, okay. Well, that's maybe better because then there's not a lot of different opinions.
However, no, there is. Each park has different opinions, okay? So I know the parks, and you have to know how to approach it,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, I'm gonna live there, but I'm gonna have my 25 or 20-year-old son living there. Well, that's fine, but please don't put that on your application, okay? Simply because, I'm not telling you not to lie, but simply put yourself, and then if he's gonna come every 2 weeks, that's fine. But once you start giving them more information like that, they're going to turn you down.
Yeah. And how do they do with, Eric was just mentioning about a place where children weren't allowed. Is
Yep.
there restrictions on grandchildren and children?
Absolutely not.
No,
They,
okay.
they
Some
all,
places there have been, though.
Some places
Yes,
have them.
okay.
But the ones that I have dealt with,
Don't.
no, they do not.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, they kind of encourage it, right?
Okay.
Because they're 55 plus, and I say probably the average is maybe 65 to 70.
Okay.
So they'll have kids and grandkids.
They come and go and they visit.
Yeah,
and
they
stay
come-
for
well,
the
of course they can.
holidays and stuff
That's
like
not a
that.
problem.
But living there,
Yes.
some of these don't
Yes.
want kids, young kids living there.
Oh, no. A lot of them don't. A lot
Yeah.
of them do not.
Yeah.
If they don't want to see, like a lot of these places too, they've been grandfathered, right?
Yeah,
They can only
yeah.
they can only say so much and say you're allowed. But in the end, you know, if they see a school bus coming in,
On a
Yep.
regular, permanent basis.
Mm.
What about animals, pets?
absolutely allowed.
Allowed, okay.
It's just any type of, like I deal with the city of Hamilton
Yeah.
on the most part. And in the city of Hamilton, you're allowed, you know, 2 dogs, 2 cats. And so they will allow that. But some parks, and this just has happened to me too about 2 months ago. The buyer said, yeah, I have 2 dogs, but one has anxiety. So he barks a lot. Guess what happened?
Nope, no dog. No dog.
No dog,
Nope.
no approval of the application.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So where you're going with this, Tina, or where I think everybody should go with this is
Yep.
each park should be treated as a unique property, and all the documents, declarations, rules, restrictions should be thoroughly reviewed
Yes.
before you put your money up.
Well, you do put your money up, it's a condition. So you put a condition, like you make the deal with the buyer and the seller, right?
And is it a deposit or is it the whole thing?
No, I usually put a small deposit
Okay.
and then I put an additional deposit afterwards. I want to make sure our commissions are secure,
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
And so I make sure that that monies and the HST is secured in our trust account.
right.
That way, because a lot of times these places don't use lawyers.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
There's nothing to
I
search.
ran into one of those, yeah.
There's nothing to search,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So really, you get a bill of sale
Yeah.
on closing.
So, and
that's
obviously the whole
important.
amount, yes,
Yes.
important to know.
Yes.
So,
very.
yeah, in terms of the procedure, yeah, so what other normal procedures are not part? Or is that the only one?
There's nothing normal about these.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying for the agent out there that's used to doing a resale home, right?
Yep.
Like you said, title searches,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah.
So the differences here are,
Yes.
we're not purchasing the land, we're leasing it.
That's right.
We are going through an application process to
Yes.
see about becoming
Yep.
a member.
Yeah.
We will have a fee, much like you would have a condo fee. They can call it membership, whatever they like. But what you're saying is there's no title search.
Right.
They are allowing inspections, home inspections, et
course.
cetera, obviously.
Some parks is a requirement.
Okay.
Because what that happens
yeah.
is because they don't know how old some of these dwellings are. So they actually want a buyer to do a home inspection, not only for the park, but for themselves. So they know the state of the property, right?
Yep.
They know the condition, right? So I make it almost mandatory. It is mandatory in my offers.
So what, oh, sorry,
I was just gonna
yeah.
say, just
Yeah.
to finish off.
Yeah.
So in terms of anything else that would be different than a traditional home sale.
Yeah.
One is obviously, there's gonna be a condition upon getting
yeah.
approved as a
Yeah,
member.
definitely.
Anything else that's different than a traditional resale home?
Not really. It's just it's the navigation part. It's how you prepare the paperwork. It's knowing what the park management looks for in a potential
Yep.
candidate to buy. So it's not like going in the city or, you know, I say city, but that's what I call like the city folk and the country folk, but, and the trailer park folk, not trailer park boys. We'll get to that in a minute, but, it's a matter of saying, okay, are you the perfect type of buyer for this situation?
Right.
Because it's very unique. And I'm gonna tell you, probably 8 times out of 10, the agents will give me the referral.
Yep.
Because
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah.
Because it's so out of their wheelhouse.
it's out of their wheelhouse.
It's out of the wheelhouse.
And guess what?
Yeah.
I'm holding their hand the whole way, and I'm doing the deal anyway.
Yeah.
For me,
Tina,
it's
what's-
just the whole thing, like the no title search,
No, I
Yeah.
know.
knowing
No,
how,
I
how
know.
to put this down on a form.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's so
I had to-
different.
I had to
That's
help-
why I just want to explain to the agents watching that here's why, like, here's all the things that make it different when
Yeah.
you go to do the paperwork aspect.
Yeah.
It's different.
Because as
Oh,
we
it's
know,
different,
that's
yeah.
paperwork is where a lot of
I've
people
only
get into
had,
trouble.
I've only had in 23 years of real estate, I've only had to help one agent one time with a land lease. And it was, obviously, it was also a unique thing as
Yeah.
well, because as they all are. But I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Typically, what is the age of these homes, units?
Well, the typical parks,
Yeah.
you're looking at, some of them were built in the 70s, some were built in the 80s. Now, there's a lot of parks, if they're a typical park model, they have now put in rules in place where it cannot be older than something that was built, like, say, 1985, before 1985. And a lot of times they'll say either you have to get rid of the dwelling, or
That's
you
interesting.
have to give up your ownership.
That is a very interesting point. So I was
Wow.
just going to ask you that. So are they building any new ones of these?
Yes.
They are doing.
Not
these.
parks. They are adding on to some of the parks that are out there.
Okay.
They're bringing in not developers, but I guess modular home builders.
Yes.
Yeah,
For lack of better
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
But
That
you
was kind of
see,
where I was going with the tiny house,
I
but that's
get-
a different animal.
I get inquiries to say, okay, well, I just want to get a lot. Well, no, you can't do that, because you got to
no.
remember something. These parks want their hand in the pot. So they pick who is coming in, and they're getting a percentage of those sales, okay? So that's where they're making
And
their
so
money.
the modular part of it, so in terms of, because you talked about, hey, it's an older building,
Yep,
I own a place, let's say, and they come to me and it's like, my God, I own this, I got to destroy it, but basically what they're saying is,
only one park has done that, though.
yeah. And I'm not saying this happens at everyone, but if I was to replace it, typically there's not a foundation because it was a trailer, but if it was modular, is it just a slab, concrete slab?
Yeah, so there's a couple parks out there, they actually built them, because they've been built in the last, let's say, 15, 20 years.
Yep.
So they'll have concrete slabs, and a lot of them do have concrete slabs.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't.
And so, but I would have to, if I had a trailer and I was asked to replace it, what you're saying is I'd have to
A
try
park
and.
model, not a trailer. Trailer's movable.
Sorry.
See, you have to know the terms.
Yes, so you would have,
need to know which
you'd
one
have
it
to
is.
remove that.
Yeah.
Now, could I build on that as long as I use the same footprint?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that before, and I don't get involved in that because that's too complicated of a situation. I have the seller or owner defer that and talk to the management, and then they figure it out. I try to stay away from, there's one particular park that's doing that right now, and I try to have buyers just steer clear right now till they figure it all out. Right? Just simply because I don't want them to get into a situation and they said, I've had people from that particular park come to Fernbrook or other ones or contact me and say, well, this is what happened here. And I says, yeah, I heard that. So that's where I'm getting all my information from, is situations. And
Yep.
so it's not something that you'll read about. It's something that you find out through the course of doing this all the time, right?
It's just scary that you have to
Yeah, no,
hook
I
up
know.
your home
Yep.
and wheel it away.
If you're able to, otherwise it's a modular home on that spot that they're saying is too old and needs to be replaced.
Well,
So-
but that's the thing. You either wheel it away and try and sell it, or you're basically destroying it.
Well, you got to
If
remember,
You can't sell it, right?
this one park is located in probably an area they can probably build on. And that's another thing too. A lot of the parks,
Yeah.
I try to see where it is.
Yeah.
Because if it's located in a section, let's say where, because you see a lot of these country lots coming up now,
Yeah,
1
yeah,
acre.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, are they going to be doing something? Like there's some around Guelph that I'm very, maybe want to stay away from something like that.
Yeah.
But there's some of them that actually there's actually one that has switched from this type of land lease to a condo
Okay.
called
Yeah,
Mini
that's it.
Lakes. And it's an Aberfoyle.
Yeah.
And they have, but now the prices have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So now there's condo fees.
Yeah.
Now you can get financing. So so there's one park like that. And some companies own a lot of these parks,
Yeah.
okay? So Park Bridge
Yeah.
owns some in Vineland. So it's
Yeah.
actually detached homes within a community, a 55-plus community. Okay? And then they have some on the 8th concession. So they have Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And they also have Antrim Glen.
Is there one on the 5th concession, West Flamborough, down from the Flamborough down Speedway?
No,
No? Because
no.
when I lived up there, on the
Oh,
other side of our
Olympia.
lake.
Olympia.
Yeah, we
There's
had a
Olympia.
lake, and on the other side of the lake, I had, one time, this is a long time ago, I had to go into there, that community, and it was little narrow roads and all these houses and everything.
Yes.
And they were sharing the one side of my lake.
Oh, it probably Olympia.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember, some of those parks too
Been there a long
are
time.
not year-round.
No, true.
Seasonal.
They're seasonal.
Seasonal.
And they're seasonal, I don't deal with them because they're very hard to sell.
Yeah.
Seasonals are just,
And so
Very
there
hard.
are seasonals that you can purchase.
absolutely.
Interesting. So
But
that
I
would
don't
that
deal
would
with
be
them.
pretty much like buying a cottage. In a sense, a cottage that's not winterized.
It's not winterized. You
Yeah,
can't, you
yeah. So you
cannot.
can't there, and the parks are usually closed.
Yes.
They close
Water,
right down.
They close it down, they close your water, they close everything. And you're not allowed onto the property until, like, it's
Until
usually
it
from a
opens up
May to
again.
November sort
Yeah.
of thing.
There's
Now,
one on
with these
Cedar
winters-
Springs too, in Burlington.
Yes, so that's called Lost Forest.
Yeah,
There were some seasonals there.
Yeah.
They've decided that's not feasible.
so they're making them year-round
Yes.
now, because I notice a few of those, not very often, but every once in a while I see one
Yeah.
of those for
They're a
sale.
hard sale.
Yeah.
But then when you become, a part of your niche, using your word, Eric,
Yeah.
it's almost now that I get contacted directly to say, hey, I know you deal with this a lot,
Yeah.
so, what do I do in this situation? And I know a lot of the park managers, so that's what I try and do, is try just to go get to know them and say, hey, I'm here, I'm selling, give me some insight, because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time.
And they would know who was considering selling and who's, they
I
have
get
the
called-
inside
yes.
scoop on
Yep.
everything that's going on in that,
Yes,
in
yes,
that park.
yes, I
Yeah.
get that. And some people are just thinking, some people say, well, can I bring my own on it? They just send them off to me and I just kind of
Yeah.
take it from there. So it's very
Yeah,
interesting,
that's very
interesting
interesting.
work.
I'm just thinking for, an agent looking to get into this, because it sounds like being a cash-only type of deal. Because you threw out a couple of numbers, like just very briefly, and I picked up on it going, it's a lower cost. It's a
Yes.
lot lower price point.
Yes.
So you mentioned 100 and some thousand. What would the average price be?
Not anymore. If you're buying something for 175,000, it is a total fixer-upper.
Okay.
Total fixer-upper.
Yeah.
And I mean
So
everything.
what would an average price be for a unit
Something that
nowadays?
was probably nicely done, probably 350.
Okay.
3 to 350. And that's how much they are even at some of these parks that you can finance. Park Bridge will finance.
Okay.
I have an RBC rep who actually helps me because he's very well versed in them.
Yep.
So you try to grab and make these connections with
Yeah.
these types of people.
The specialists,
And
yeah.
the specialists, right? So I'm a specialist and then he's a specialist and it's like, okay, I have this buyer, can you just make sure? And he'll say, yep, Tina, we're good to go. And we put the deal together.
And
'Cause
that's
I-
what
I-
building
I was-
relationships is
Yeah.
all about.
Yes.
Exactly. No, I was more curious in terms of the marketing, because
Yeah.
if it was, those ones at 100 and some thousand, there's an agent out there looking, let's say
Yeah.
they were only getting 2% of that, let's say, or 4%, whatever.
Yeah.
Like if they're doing half, but the thing is that that's not a lot of money. So how much are they putting into marketing? Going back to what you said about the photos.
Yes.
Right? Because I'm assuming that back in the day, they weren't getting that much money commission-wise, so they weren't putting a lot of that into the marketing.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously, it's a percentage. I got to keep track of how much money am I going to make on this and how much am I putting out,
Of course you do.
right?
But at the same time, I just found it as an opportunity. And I thought if I can put out the money for a couple, I think this could snowball.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it did. So even though I may not have made a lot of money,
Yeah.
I have increased the value in this park
That's amazing.
5-10 times.
Yeah.
Just even people knowing it's an option.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would hazard to say that not many agents know that that's a viable option for clients in a certain age group and in a certain situation in their life.
Because they're not comfortable in discussing it because they don't know what it is.
Right. So if a couple's coming, a downsizer, they're gonna sell their property, they may have $400,000-$500,000 equity in their house.
Exactly.
And they may be getting told, well, you gotta go rent something, which is money out the window.
Right.
This might be an opportunity for them to say, hey, I know this real estate agent, she works with parks, she works with these modular homes. We might be able to get you something really cool for 300 in that range.
Yeah.
And you'd still have a little bit of money left over.
Absolutely.
And you live happily ever after.
Right. Now, talking about, going back to Park Bridge, we're talking about price points.
Yes.
Those ones in Antrim Glen and Cherry Ridge, they go between 500 and 700,000.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
they are either sided or brick bungalows with full basements. They're homes.
They're homes.
Okay.
You know, it's a community, almost
Yeah.
like a 20 plate or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I've seen some listed on
Yeah.
MLS in the Port Dover.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yeah,
you know,
Port
that-
Rowan. Port Rowan has a lot.
Area, yeah. Where I was looking through and I saw the price, and I went, well, whoa, 500,000, this is a beautiful house, right? Oh, I don't know the land, but the water's right there and I got a gorgeous house.
Right.
So I think that, and you're naming off names of parks, which I haven't heard of before. There sounds like there's a lot of other opportunities.
There's a lot of opportunity. It's just
For
not
a-
being advertised. They're not being marketed. They're not being, you know,
But they're-
brought
the-
to the forefront.
But
The
how
agents
much
are
churn
missing
is
that.
there? How much churn is there in these?
What do you mean turn?
Churn, like
Oh, churn.
turning over.
Oh, okay. Depending on the situation of the buyer or the seller. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times these are estate sales that I deal with,
Yeah.
which I'm versed in as well.
Because it sounds like it is a more senior crowd.
It is a senior crowd.
So they
Define
typically are
senior.
going
There'd be she said 65 to 75.
That's senior to me. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, but I mean, that's the typical
No,
age.
no, but I'm-
Watch
When they're-
your words.
words,
there,
yeah.
Yes, I
Mr.
know.
Hare.
I'm
We're
going to be
getting
60 soon. I'll be 60 soon. I'm okay. I'm
Watch
okay.
your words, sir.
Like, but all
not
I
gonna-
mean
they're not
is,
gonna-
like, typically it's somebody near the end. Like, hey, they're not buying that many homes. I'm thinking in my head, they're probably in there for 20 years.
Sometimes no.
Or,
No, sometimes not.
or
It depends on the
obviously-
size.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm curious. How?
Okay.
What's
So
the average
typically,
turnover rate?
it really, there is none. It depends on the size of the home.
and
So
yeah.
I have one that I've probably sold 5 times
Mm-hmm.
in the park because it's about 600 square feet. It's one
Wow.
bedroom. It's just
tiny
a nice
house.
big kitchen, a little living room. Like it's just so well laid out.
Yeah.
But it's for one person.
Yeah.
It has a nice lot and whatever. And then when they meet, then I'll say, oh, look, he's gone in here. I know Carol. I wonder. So I'll get them introduced, and next thing you know, they're moving in together. So I get a sale.
And that's a happy sale. It's not like they passed away. You're gonna happy
No, a
sale
happy
there.
sale.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find a lot of those smaller ones too is people coming out of relationships.
Yes.
For whatever shape and
place
form.
to live for a
whatever
while.
place they are in their lives.
Yeah.
They need a place to land.
Yeah.
And so they use that for a couple years
Yeah.
to get back on their feet. So
Okay.
it's not just that. So the demographics are all over. I wish there was a way of tracking the demographics of these places. I just don't
I
have the
just
time or
find
the
this
means.
So interesting that the vast majority of the agents are not looking at this as a real viable opportunity for
Yes.
a newly divorced, a newly widowed.
Yes.
Maybe people that have just decided they can live in 600, 700 square feet and not have all those other costs involved in it.
Got to
Like,
remember
there's a lot of-
sometimes when you say trailer park, it's the perception
Yeah.
of what a trailer park is.
Well,
Going back, you
yes.
mentioned Trailer Park Boys because
It
there
is
is
not.
that.
It is
There's
not.
that image that people
course.
will have.
Of course.
Or in the movies, you go, oh,
Right. Trailer
right?
park. Or the tornadoes go through all the trailer park. You know,
Yes.
like there's
Right.
cliches, there's all
Right.
sorts of things. But
Stereotypes.
bottom
you name
line
it.
is, if you look even at the show, there's a lot of good relationships that are in there, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about them in there. They're very honest. They're very, I don't know. I feel like these are almost like my people because
Yeah.
there's no BS in these parks.
So there's a
None.
nice sense of community there.
Absolutely.
Where a lot of our seniors end up in places where there's absolutely no sense of community.
Yeah.
Until they're warehoused in,
Right.
Or an expensive retirement home.
On an expensive retirement.
but
Now,
still not a lot of sense of community.
Absolutely
Even,
not,
even
no.
in there,
Yeah.
you know.
And
Yeah.
there's this one gentleman, he lost part of his leg because of diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in the community. And while he was in the hospital, they all got together and built a ramp. They built, put him
Nice.
a new sliding door for him. So when he came home in his wheelchair, there it was. And I say that story every single time I walk in the park. I said,
Yeah.
if you're looking for this, this is what it is. Because I've sold in here, I know the vibe, I guess, for the
Yeah.
lack
Yeah.
of a better word.
Well, we all know people live longer and live better if there's a sense of community.
Absolutely.
And so that's, I think, a really interesting point. But I'm just kind of blown away at the number of places that you've mentioned that nobody is using that for their clients as an alternative.
Yep.
When they're just a tad bit short on buying another property after they've downsized their home.
Perception.
Yeah.
Well,
all
maybe it
perception.
would be incumbent on people to have a little look around and take a look and
Well,
see these a
I-
bit more.
Like you said, there's a lot of different ones, a lot
Yeah.
of different
Oh, yeah.
styles.
A lot of different
Yeah.
styles.
I mean, the ones I saw online were absolutely
Of course.
cute as a button.
So if you want something that's paved roads, gated community, manicured lawns,
Yeah.
that's one.
Yeah.
If you want the more, I call it eclectic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dirt roads, more nature, more inspiring that way, and there's
another perk.
this. And that's not for you, well, you have to go here, but you gotta pay more.
So I have
Yeah.
a question for you. If an agent was trying to look at this avenue for clients,
Yes.
where do they go? They Google these parks? Are they all listed online? Where are they?
I list them solely on Hamilton or Itso because I was listing them on the Toronto board and the amount of agents or people contacting me thinking they are just typical, that I can walk in and mortgage it and rent it out because it's so
Oh,
cheap.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
no.
stopped that
No.
completely. I
Right.
stopped that completely.
Right.
And then I just put it on Hamilton, and that way I know the agent's calling me or whatever, and they'll say, Tina, I have this buyer, and this is what they're looking for, can you help them? Yeah, for sure.
There you
That's
go.
amazing. That's
Where,
amazing.
where do you see the future of these? Because we had an agent on a few episodes ago and talking about short-term rentals, et cetera. And we were talking about where those things are going, like Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And we do see a lot of communities now embracing, I know Lynn mentioned tiny homes, but I can see where, I know these aren't tiny homes, but we see like things shifting and moving in real estate, right? Like they're getting away from Airbnbs, but hey, we'll allow these tiny homes. Where do you see these types of homes and parks? Are they long-term? Do you see survival, or are they going to morph and become, like you said, you're seeing now they're more building these homes with basements, and it's more a community of actual built homes as opposed to trailers?
Right.
Where do you see it?
It all depends on what, I always say this, what's happening in the city. So if the market is good in the city and there's a lot of equity, they're buying. When things are slow in the city, they're gonna be slow there. And that is the bottom line. And that is the way it has been for the last 15 years. And I've seen a lot of markets in the last 15 years. So during COVID, these places exploded in value, right? I thought it would be the opposite, but
Yeah.
it wasn't. And they exploded. And it's funny, even some of the places up north that I know about, they actually were almost giving them away. Yeah, because almost like the timeshare kind of idea.
Yeah.
Because they says, well, I can't leave my house, I can't do this. If I can't travel to certain municipalities and they have their certain restrictions, why do I even have it? I know people that were buying them up like crazy now they're worth triple. But getting back to this point, I just find that it all depends on what's happening in the city. And when I see that and I see things slowing down, I tell them right away in the park, this is gonna be a long haul. because if they're not selling quickly, they're not getting their money quickly,
Yeah.
there's no equity coming out of it.
Yes.
Therefore, we are slowing down. So we are a
Yeah.
direct, I guess, relationship
Sure.
Okay.
with that.
Yeah.
That makes sense? So
Yeah, it does.
that is the future. That is just the way it is. It can go up, it will go down. But I try.
And you don't see the trailer parks going away?
No, no,
They'll
I do
always
not.
be there.
They'll
Well,
always
we've
be
got
there.
such an aging population of people,
Yep.
which to my mind would be beneficial, like the one you were saying in Port
Absolutely.
Rowan.
Yeah.
Which are just nice little properties. They're a little
Yeah.
bit more formalized.
Yeah.
But they're a lot less money.
They are.
Well,
But
I'm
again,
just thinking of the developers, like depending on who
Yeah.
owns them, where they
Yeah.
might
Say
say at
that.
a certain point, hey, I can develop this and make
Right.
a lot
Right.
more money.
Right.
That's why I'm just curious, like,
Absolutely.
if we see bigger
Depends.
companies buying these up, is there potential, or you think they'll stay?
some of them are surrounded by swamp. Okay, what you have in Flamborough, where I deal a lot of, is the Beverly Swamp, and it's
And the Spencer Creek.
and the Spencer Creek and 20 Mile Creek. You
Exactly.
have so many ecosystems up there and
Yeah.
watersheds
Yeah.
that these parks are staying
Okay.
because that is it.
Yeah.
However, when you're getting outside of that, that's where it's, There was
Okay.
one in Mississauga. Like people say, well, look what happened to the one in Mississauga. Well, you just told me where it was.
Mississauga.
Mississauga. So therefore, it's expanding a lot quicker than it is in a swampland, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, yeah.
There's a lot of restrictions up in that area, the Beverly.
You have to know.
Beverly Bog.
I just find that agents don't know what they're doing. You have to know
But this is it.
how to do it
Yep.
and what questions to ask and when to ask them, and don't waste your time.
Yeah, but I think they need to do their research and understand what's available for their clients.
Yes.
Especially as this is all unfolding. Yeah, they need to know what's available.
Well, it was, like I
Get
said, it started as a
educated.
challenge,
Yeah.
and now it's just, I just love it.
Sure thing, yeah.
I just love it. Like the summertime, I just love going up there, and I'll
Yeah.
bring my lunch, and I'll sit by the pool, and, talk to everybody, and,
And
yeah.
you're doing business
And I'm doing business at
while
the
you're
same
having a
time.
great time.
While I'm having a great time.
With great people, yeah. Doesn't have to be difficult, doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
I find
just- it's
sometimes
different. You
everybody
gotta ask
overcomplicates
questions.
things.
I,
You have to talk to people.
Yeah.
There's the thing, you gotta go make yourself available, talk to people and listen to what they have to say.
Well, that's what, when I went up to a listing appointment for one, there's one court in Fernbrook that I've sold every single one except two. Well, one, he's been there probably 45 years,
Oh
and
my
he's
gosh.
always said to me, Tina, they gotta take me out in a box, that kind of expression, that's
Yeah.
fine. But there's one there that I never sold initially, and I went for a listing. I said, you know what? This is one of the only places I've never seen in this park. She says, well, people talk about you around here all the time.
Yeah.
I had to call you to see, first of all, to meet you in person. And I thought, great. So we had a nice hour conversation. She's not moving until probably next year, the year after, but at least I had a chance to go there and sit down and say hi to everybody around the court. And
That's amazing.
Very cool.
That's amazing. And we have some agents that do the same idea with a condominium, like a high-rise condominium, where
Yes.
they become the absolute specialist and they know everybody and who they are, but they've put in their time.
right,
You've put in your time.
Yes.
You've put in your hours.
Yes.
Talking to people, knowing everything about it, and that's what makes it all very special for those people and for you.
well, it's the personality too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can't go in there with guns a-blazing saying, well, this
No.
is the way we're going to do it now. No.
Yeah, no.
No,
Yeah.
No, not so much.
No, you're not-
And I think everybody needs to leave that preconceived idea behind them.
Yes.
Yep.
We've all had those comments. about,
Biases.
biases about living in a trailer park in Florida, right? And they all blow away in a hurricane. That's a true thing, right? People think that way. But,
Oklahoma.
Yes.
Texas, no, but,
It's true.
it's true.
I think.
mean, it is true. It's a thing. But I
But
think,
to your point is people just need to be open and understand there are different types.
yeah.
And you just got to investigate.
You do.
Really.
Well, so you can do a good job for your people.
Yep.
Because I'm seeing coming up a great future for that. Because when people finally sell their home of their life, maybe they're only getting maybe 800, 900,000 equity out of it. Well, they're not going to go buy another house in their area for that money.
A lot of
They gotta
times
go
it's not
out-
even that,
I know.
right?
Especially in this market.
In this market.
They've lost their life savings or life equity in their home in
That's
this,
right.
in this market.
right.
So
That's
then
right.
where do they go? In a high-rise condo or a high-rise rental building? Or do they do this?
Or if you can get this for the price of a tiny home and you have more room here than a tiny
Well,
home.
It's not only that too, it's just
community.
knowing how,
Yes.
it's the community, but it's knowing how to market them when they come to market.
Right.
That
Yes.
makes sense?
Yes.
Because people have this, again, another preconceived notion that I'm gonna lose money when I buy something like this. No, you're not.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Let me show you the sales.
Yeah.
Let me show you the ones, this is the one I've sold, now you're gonna be the fourth buyer.
Yeah.
Look how much it's gone up.
Well, let me tell
Every
you
single
something.
time,
I can
yeah.
tell you one thing they're gonna do. If they take that equity they got out of their house and go into a rental building, they are losing money.
Right.
Real money every month.
Every month.
This way, they've still got something that
Real
they
estate.
own
Yep.
and they enjoy.
And they enjoy.
Yep.
And they have a pool. Some of them don't.
Well, they're all
Have-
different.
They're all different. It
Yeah.
depends what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Depends what you're trying to get away from. That's what I find. A lot of these people are just, they're starting anew
Yeah.
for whatever situation is going on in their lives. So it's very interesting to see where these people are coming from
Well,
too.
you've got to understand that this is a crazy wound up society we live in
Yes.
here in this area. We are
Yes.
wound tight all the time.
All the time.
And it comes out in various different ways in people.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that at the end of, when they're finished that work journey, they want to go retire somewhere where there's actually nice people that wave at you in the morning.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for it.
Well, I know one client said to me, Tina, you found my Shangri-La,
Ah, how nice.
you know, and I said, that's exactly what it is. I said,
so
it
nice.
this sounds like it's, well, you know, as realtors, we have to be part psychiatrists and all that. So I kind of hear their story
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, this would be perfect for you if this is what you're looking for. You're an artist. You want something that you want to be quiet in some of this, you know, situation. You're renting right now. There's too many people around you. Well, let's go look at this.
Go look at this.
Yep.
I think this is amazing.
Yeah. Just before we wrap up,
Yeah.
is there anything that talking about questions, is there a question we didn't ask you that you were expecting?
You did everything that I thought you were going to ask me.
Okay, that's good. So for those of you that are out there, this is a viable option for your clients. As you've learned today, it is a little bit different, and a little bit unique. A lot of these places, it does pay to find somebody like Tina, who's a specialist who can help guide your people through the way. Don't be afraid to, give a referral, get a referral feedback, or reach out and try and learn about these types of properties. But it is very much a segment of the market that really isn't talked about a lot. So it pays to have a specialist in your pocket to help you out navigate through this entire process. So on behalf of Tina, Lynn, and myself, we want to thank you for joining us on this episode, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Real Estate Podcast with Lynn Hoffmann and Eric Johnson.